Welcome to the Radical Women podcast. I'm so excited for this conversation that we're going to have today with my beautiful friend and guest, Lexy Davis. If you have never heard of Lexy before, she owns a beautiful business called Alive to Enjoy. And Lexy is a somatic love coach, and she's devoted to helping romantic women create hot, holy love. And her work is so beautiful. And we're going to have a really profound conversation today about loving the masculine again. So, yeah, Lexi, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself a little bit more. How did you get into this work? What inspired you? What led you on this path?
Yes, I'm just a big time lover girl. I love love and have always loved love, and it never made sense to me, and I didn't grow up. I grew up with a single dad, so how my life was shaped around love, it was this weird yearning in my heart that I knew I wanted it, but then I also was never saw what love was. So it's kind of just like a quiet desire in me for so long. And then I lived around the world, I studied abroad, and I started to like fall more in love with just humans in general. And when I first started coaching, I was working with men. And since I grew up with a single dad, I had a lot of guy friends, and I was always more comfortable with men than I was with women. And through that, I was like actually anti-woman for a really long time and thought women were dramatic and just fake and they were hard to get along with. And then through my traveling and I did yoga and all these different pieces, I stumbled into coaching. And when I started to work directly with men, it made me like fall in love with them even more. And just seeing their hearts and how they're just so sweet and tender on the inside, and we project so much onto them. And then I really realized that the patriarchy hasn't just affected women, it's equally affected men. And I saw all of their struggles and how we've just blamed them for everything. And I was in with my last partner. We ended maybe 2 years ago now. And our relationship kind of ended because I didn't understand men, I realized, even with all my knowledge of working with them and growing up with a dad and all of these things, I kept emasculating him. And so I went into like a deep dive of really trying to figure it out because I was like, I want love. I'm determined to have it. I know I'm a catch. So like, what the heck is going on here? And then my whole mind was like blown out of proportions when I started to actually get men and see how that they've never really been understood and that we treat them not how we should be and we're just totally misinterpreting all the time. And from there, I brought that into love coaching and just feel so passionate about teaching women how to build a healthy relationship with men, therefore creating this like never-ending, juicy, passionate romance, which just continues to get better and better with time. And I think that's something we have also like bought in as a society that marriage equals boring. Like, how am I supposed to spend my life with one person? And what is that going to be like? And the reality is we've just not understood each other and just not known how to communicate to support the never-ending flow of love. Like the true design for a relationship is just the most magical, alive, dynamic that just literally keeps getting better. So yeah, I am here to help really create a new culture of love on this earth and help people find this passionate devotional love, which is what love is actually supposed to be. And everyone can create it. However, again, the root of all of this is our nervous system. So the reason it's been so complicated is because love has always been dangerous or not safe. And therefore we are doing all this self-sabotaging and all these mechanisms to push it away. So that
Mm.
was a whole lot of mouthful.
So good, though. It was so good. And that's one thing that I don't know about you. I didn't know that you were a coach for men before you were doing the coaching that you're doing now. And I'm so curious about that. And I'm curious if you would be willing to share some of the things that you learned inside of that, that part of your coaching journey around working with men of like, as women, as for me, like I would love to know like what are the things that men are experiencing that get overlooked or that they don't really talk about that's like tender in their hearts that's important for us as women to know. And of course, it's going to be different from man to man, but what are some common themes
Yeah.
that you remember?
And just to be clear, I wasn't like specific. I didn't call myself a men's coach. However, they just men were just falling in my lap, and it was just like through friends of friends, and it was lighting me up so much. So yeah, what the biggest thing is that men have feelings too, and men have the same desires that we do around love. Like they deeply, deeply desire it, and just as we don't understand them, they don't understand us. Like women are very hormonal. We're all over the place. Our emotions are so ever flowing, and that is confusing to him when he is pretty steady every day on an emotional plane. And when he does something, then she's always upset. And it's this feeling of I can never get it right. I'm never enough. The man's biggest wound is I'm not enough. And women are constantly portraying yeah, like putting that on them by making them feel like, oh, you did that wrong, or why are you doing it this way, or you need to talk to me in this way. And we're just trying to control every aspect of him to be this perfect man. And so he feels like men are always like walking on eggshells almost trying to get it right, and they want you to lead, but then when they lead you're not doing it the way that they want. And so it's just like this, like they feel trapped oftentimes. This feeling of being in a jail is what most men feel like from women. And of course us women aren't trying to do it on purpose, but this is the sensation they're feeling and why most men won't commit, because most of them feel caged inside of relationships, and it's not what's supporting them. Another thing is how much they want to make you happy. Like men deeply desire, they they just like their whole life is dedicated to providing for you. Like when you're their partner, you make up everything for them. Like everything they do is to make you happy, is to provide for you, is to protect you. Like you are the center of their world once that commitment is there. And I think we really don't understand that. It's so beautiful when you just listen to men. And when I hear like my man, for instance, or I have really amazing guy friends, and just the devotion in their heart is so big, but most of them haven't either like found the woman to give that to, or they've like tried and it hasn't worked. And so, but the true nature of their heart is like they want to pour into us and just give, 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 give.
And that's like part of the masculine makeup, right? Is the provider, is the giver, and the woman's receiving that. And then it becomes this really beautiful reciprocal relationship of like she overflows into him and then he's nourished from that and then he nourishes her back. And then it's just delicious and beautiful. And yeah, and I love that you named, around how men really like have a hard time committing to a relationship where they do feel caged
Mm,
and where they
mm,
do feel like controlled or nitpicked all the time. And I'm curious what your take is around like what is, like speaking as women, but like where's the line that you see of like a man's responsibility to nurture and nourish his own freedom and where he might feel like his freedom is being taken away because of his genuine fear of commitment versus where women can actually relax into a space of loving and nurturing their man and trusting him.
Yeah, I mean, everything is nuanced in the relationship world. So I,
Everything.
yeah, that's like the most important thing to put out. But if a man feels free, he's going to want to lock you down. So I think this is like the line of understanding. The more you try to get him to commit to you, or you try to get him to be anything else, or this is what's so hard is, for instance, how we, woman to woman, like when we start complaining or saying something, we're immediately like, oh, I gotta do that better. That's like, I'm so sorry. This is like our natural reaction. But when you do that to a man, when you complain to a man, he feels like, okay, I can't do it right. Like I'll just not do it. And he shuts down and he pulls back. And it's like, it gives the opposite effect of to woman, it inspires us to be better. To a man, it's like, well, what am I supposed to do if you don't receive that, you know?
Mhm.
So in these little ways, it starts to make him feel trapped. And the difference, so what was your question?
It was
Got it.
really just like seeing the difference between like a man holding responsibility for freedom in his own life
Mm.
versus, the woman who's in relationship with her man who might be like unconsciously, withholding his freedom through her control
Yeah.
patterns.
So I think it's a dance because man, not only men, honestly, a lot of women I work with have the same fear of losing their freedom in a relationship because I would say from the woman's perspective, they haven't learned how to be authentic in relationships. So they overgive and they lose themselves in partnership. And so they associate love as like being this caretaker role where they are self-sacrificing.
Mhm.
So that's like the avoidant of the woman. But for men, like of course men want freedom. That's what they really want. And in partnership, again, they associate partnership with not being able to be themselves and they have to be this perfect man that the woman wants them to be, and thus they feel like they lose their freedom. So the responsibility, and like even with my man, he there was at points where he was expressing that like, oh, I don't want to feel free, or oh, I don't want to feel caged, for instance. And then I would reflect it myself and I realized, oh, okay, when I tell you that you need to communicate to me in this specific way, that's him feeling like he can't just speak or else he's going to trigger me and walking on eggshells. And I was like, okay, I see where I'm creating that lack of freedom. So let me pull back in this moment. And actually, I want you to express how you need to express, so this little dynamic is there, and it was through my understanding him more and more and more that he felt more and free, and then he realized like what I kept telling him was like, no, it's through love that we create the ultimate freedom. Like it's through partnership that the safety and the security creates like this never-ending freedom.
Mhm.
But I had to learn how to be safe for my man, and I think women don't know how to be safe for men. Like what a man needs to feel safe is completely different than what a woman needs. And so often women are waiting for their man to make them safe before like letting down all the walls. But what a woman needs to do is come unarmored, and in that it's like I remind women that we are the leaders in love and the spiritual world, and men are the leaders in the physical world. But it takes like we really initiate and lead in love through our openness, through our trust, through our surrender, which are all like fluffy, nice words. But to actually freaking trust your man in a moment where it feels terrifying and your body is freaking out, like that's hard. And to not trap him in a box, it's hard in moments because you want to feel safe. And so to control your man feels safer than to actually trust that he's going to be loyal or he's going to stay and stick around?
Mm. Yeah. And in that, it's also like, yes, learning how to trust your man deeply, right? In those scary, unclear moments. And
Mhm.
also trusting yourself enough to know that you're going to be okay if like something does happen. Like you can trust yourself enough to know that you've got yourself. And something that you said I think is really can be like so triggering for women to hear because there's so much focus on men being safe for women, men being safe for women, men being safe for women. And
Mhm.
there's like almost no conversations happening about how women can be safe for men and how that's like just as valid for them to be able to feel inspired to show up for women. There's so many men that I walk around like and see in the world who are like afraid to open doors for women now. They're afraid to like offer help. They're afraid
Yeah.
because they don't want to be reprimanded.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
is that
it's
down?
gone to the extreme other end where I hear all the time with my guy friends like, "Oh, I don't know, like I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable." And it's so sad. Again, they feel like the Me Too movement was amazing, and also it put men into this category of all men are dangerous and all men are bad. And we keep pushing that narrative, which again, in the matrix of things, it's like they want separation, right? So they keep
Yeah.
us against each other. But in reality, men are so sweet and kind. Like the realness of them are that. And yeah, and they've never actually experienced safety. So when a woman like the skills I really teach women are like how to be a mature woman, emotional elegance, like these how to understand men. And when a man experiences a woman like that, it is a breath of fresh air to him because he hasn't felt safe really ever in relationship. And again, this is where patriarchy has affected them so intensely. And since we've, as Alison Armstrong says, we treat men like hairy women, like they haven't experienced what it feels like to be safe and understood and loved. And a man just wants to be respected, he wants to be admired, and he wants you to trust him. And those skills again are like we think like we just need to give and give to him and love him so much. And yes, and the most important thing you can do to a man is respect him. And your respect is what creates the deepest safety for him. And because that's showing that you trust him and that you believe in him, like your belief in him too. And these are all the things that we have been afraid to give to a man because it's almost like giving away our power. Well, if I trust him or believe him, like, is he actually going to keep me safe? Like, I don't know, we go into it is just so like it's so complicated because there's so much wounding like left and right with the dynamics between us two. And yeah, so to give him that safety is like it's such a deep journey within our own bodies. And this is why I correlate everything with God because I wasn't able to do this until I really built a relationship with God. And I personally have built it outside of church. But feeling and understanding the truth of the masculine character was what helped me through God. Like really seeing that He is there. God is always there to provide for you, to hold you, to keep you safe, to protect you. Like He's so steady and firm and it's also soft. And when you have that frame of like, oh, he's always got you and God is always protecting you, this allows you to feel safe with an actual man and surrender to him and let him take care of you. And again, bring those walls down and thus like creating the safety in yourself for your man to feel free, you know?
That was so beautifully said.
Thanks.
I'm gonna take that in for a minute. 'Cause it's
Ah.
huge. It really is huge. And I think that like when we look at, especially relationships with when we base our relationship to the masculine off of those relationships in our past, or maybe the relationships with our dads that are like inherently human and flawed, and then we feel resentful or disappointed or angry, and we start to see that as like the pinnacle of masculine. It
Yes.
creates such a distorted view. And when we really relate to God in a different way, right, in a holy way, in a beautiful way of feeling that provision and feeling that safety, like you said, and feeling that like sturdiness and softness, it really does redirect your blueprint of masculine energy and holding.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And, oh, it's just so beautiful to hear that. And I think it's so important and also like really humbling for women, which like is sometimes uncomfortable, but so true to hear about like, oh yeah, we have a responsibility in what we're bringing to our men and what we're bringing into the relationship just as much as the men do. And it's not fully their responsibility to nurture the health of the relationship. It's a dynamic. It's a space where we're both feeding into it. And yeah, there was also something really profound that you said. I'm trying to remember it. Um, oh yeah, just about like when you reflect at a of like he like the way that he was communicating to you and you like needing like softening around the ways that he has to communicate to you, right? And just letting him express and how I feel like we're really in this interesting phase of humanity right now in society around communication and the ways that like things specifically need to be communicated. I'm like thinking about like nonviolent communication and all these different, right? It's like it has to be this way. You have to use this kind of thing or I can't receive it. And it's just like it's so rigid.
Oh, my man has called me out so many times on this because especially, I'm a love coach and I'm all big on communication, but we're all human at the end of the day. And yes, he took responsibility in some areas that he needed to clean up in his communication. And he kept being like, I can't get it right at all times, especially, and also like it doesn't need to come out in this perfect, but you're only gonna be open to me if I say it in this specific way. And I was like, no. I'm sorry. And this is where the men are mirrors. Like men will put you in your place and it's so hot to like have your man uh,
Yeah.
be like, listen, that actually isn't truth. And then to receive that, it feels so comforting and you're like, ah. Yeah, but it's so beautiful that men are truly our mirrors, and I like as a woman we have to learn that dance of like letting your man re again guide the conversation in that way. And yeah, yes, communication matters and delivery matters, and like you shouldn't be blaming, and you should there's things to do. And when we're in a moment of trigger, this is where we have to learn to hold our system and their system and know that like not everything they're saying is personal. Like, can we bring some breath into it so that when they're delivering, maybe it's coming out a little messy, can we still hold the truth of you have a good man and he's not trying to hurt you right now?
Hmm.
And that posture is really important. Actually, it's essential because so often when he starts to raise his voice just so slightly, you go, nope, that's not safe. He's gonna hurt me and I should leave. This isn't my man." Like we go into all these stories of what we've known in the past, when in reality it's like he was just in the heat of a moment. And trust me, I have also, gotten in the heat of my moments. And yeah, it's just like being an all in kind of love, like a truly devotional love, requires you to have such deep acceptance and understanding for your partner and to not be in the mindset of one foot in, one foot out. Like it is such a different posture to like, again, it's like you have to take a bigger picture to really see that he is just a human and he has a hurt little boy inside him too sometimes, and to be the compassion he needs in moments that are hard. And when you feel like it would be easier to collapse and to meet match his energy. Like, can you hold the posture of love? And of course, you can still, like, if he does something that's hurtful, like, you can show him that, but it's not about you in that moment. That's what we have to remember, especially in like conflict moments.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, relationships are such a dance, and it really is about learning one another and learning how to love each other better. And sometimes that's going to be outside of your preferences, and it's going to ask you to step into, right? Sometimes we demonize the word sacrifice and we think like sacrificing is so negative, but I'm like, sacrificing actually has like a really holy like connotation to it, and it's an offering. It's
Mhm.
something that you can offer, and there's, right, of course, like nuance to it as always, but it really is this ability to love deeper.
Yeah, it's the design, I would say, for relationships. Like I know the saying about like decentering men is really big right now, but I don't fully believe in that saying, at least that word, because we actually like your man is the center. God is first, and then it's your man, and then it's everything else. And so the real design of a relationship is he is the center. He is leading you guys, and you submit to his leadership, but you're only submitting to him because you're submitted to God, and God brought you this man so then you can submit to him. And in that, oh my, first off, this is what we want as a woman. If you are a feminine essence, like if that is what you actually desire, it feels so delicious to know that you don't have to be worrying all the time. You don't have to be planning all the time. You don't have to be figuring it all out. You don't need to be solving the problems. Like, that isn't what you want, right? Well, that requires you to submit to your man so he can do that for you. And
Mhm.
again, this posture is so hard to actually embody in the moments because it's so much easier said than done to like letting your man lead sounds all nice and cute. It's quite hard, it's quite hard to submit to someone, especially when we've been really independent. We've worked ourselves up to create these careers and like, like we know how to handle our stuff. So to give that over to somebody else it takes a little bit of unlearning, especially, and it happens in the relationship, but you can start to unlearn it when you're single, but it's through being with your man. And nervous system work is all relational. So it takes being in relationship with someone to really practice submission and to practice letting him lead.
Yeah, and for everyone listening, just noticing what even comes up in your own system, hearing the words submitting to your man,
Oh,
hearing that your man's at the center of the relationship, like God first and then your man. And from my understanding of this is like a woman has a relationship with God, right? So she knows God and she feels that connection and the provision from God. And then her man comes in and she recognizes God in her man. right?
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
recognizes this man is a channel and a conduit of God, and he's serving the relationship not just for himself, but he's serving the relationship not just for his woman, but he's serving it for God. And in that, she submits to that, right? She's
Mhm.
not submitting to like the controlling, dominating man. That's not holy. That's not a man of God, right?
Yes, not at all. And yeah, and let me just make this really clear that you're not doing this unless you're in like a very committed, secure relationship that God has made very clear that this is your man. Like God has made it crystal clear for me. I got blessed since day one, pretty much with my man. Like there was never, it was so clear, like consistent, even though my body was fighting it. And I was like, no, 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 it's too early to say that. God, what are you talking about? Like I didn't want to believe him. I wanted to believe him, but then I didn't want to believe, it's all the dynamics. But anyways, it was clear and it was sign after sign after sign that this is my man. Like, yes, like you're safe. And it took time. Like, this doesn't happen overnight. And trust me, even with all this knowledge, again, it didn't matter that I knew it all. I wasn't embodied in it until I could practice it with my man. And because of a very masculine man, he would not let me be masculine. He doesn't want to date another man. So
Mhm.
anytime those parts of me came up with protection where I tried to take the lead or I tried to you know, step into his role, he would just look at me and be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know.
Like
I'm
I'm
doing,
trying to be the man.
yeah, I'm good at this. What do you mean? What am I doing?" He's like, "No, that's my role." I'm like, "Okay." So it takes time, but like, yeah, once you have that knowing and security, and like whether it's the ring or it's like whatever it is that you guys are going to be together, then you can submit to him. But you can't do this while you're in the dating phase. You can learn how to respect a man, you can learn how to let him start to lead, but you're not fully surrendering to him until this. But once you're in the covenant, once you're in the like, okay, this is my man, this is my life, then you take that posture of take the reins, baby, like I'm trusting you because I'm trusting God. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy that you clarified on that because the last thing that we want is right. And I've been in this place before
Yes, yes,
of like women giving this like juicy, ripe, devotional energy to the man who's not fully claiming you, not clear, confused, not actually committed, one foot in, one foot out.
yes.
And that's
And
where we start to get wounded. And then we get really angry at the men because we don't take responsibility for that for ourselves, right? That's the pattern is like women will then project that onto all the men when it's actually like, oh, where was I consenting to that when it wasn't clear?
yep, and this is the biggest thing because women give devotion way too soon, and you need to be dating is about discernment. It's not about devotion. And
Ooh,
most
say
of
that
us are
again. Oh my God, say that again.
dating is about discernment, not devotion. And I get it because we are lover girls. Like we are ready. Like, where's my ring? Like, so many of the women I work with, they're like I said, you guys are catches. You're the full package. You want to be a wife, you want to be a mother, and you gotta like that. Like, there's no question in that. However, the dating stage isn't for giving your devotion right away. And so when we find a man, we're like, oh, this feels really good. And then we're like, hey, what can I do for him? Let me just do it. Hey, we go like straight into like being the wife. And I get it, like that was me too. However, no, 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 no. That's too soon. You're supposed to be, when we go back to the hunting and gathering stages, you're the gatherer. You're gathering information about him. You're gathering, is he being consistent, not just for a week, not just for 2 weeks? Is he being consistent for a month? Is he pursuing you? Is he actively trying to court you? Like, you need to, and it's hard because the yearning is so big. And when it's right there, you're like, I'm tasting it. I want it. Like, I'm ready. What can I do? Lock me in. But this is, again, it's so much somatic work of holding those sensations
Hmm.
while also checking and discerning, okay, are his words matching up? Is he doing the things he said he would? Is he continuing to try to see me? Do I feel this sense of um calmness in my body? And that's another nuanced topic, is even with the healthy man, you're not necessarily going to feel peace because again, love wasn't safe most unless you have a regulated nervous system. So there's so much to go into that. But yeah, the beginning phase are discernment, and the more we project onto men, and I mean, I can say like most of the time men are very clear at the beginning. with all my clients I work with all the men I dated, they will let you know what they're looking for. And so often we blame, oh, men are not committal, blah, blah, but it's like they told you from the beginning that that's the stage they were at and that they didn't actually want that. And there's a difference of a man who is looking for a wife versus a man who's just looking for fun. And for instance, my man on our first date, I never experienced anything like it. He was interviewing me to be his wife. Now, that's probably not the language he would use, but his level of like, he knew what he wanted. He was looking to see if we're aligned. He was making sure, like, the questions he was asking me, the depth he was holding, like, with me, the way that he was checking my character to see if like this is the woman that's going to have my future children, you know? It's a different kind of man on that date and you can feel it and you can sense it. So knowing that, like if you're actually looking for commitment and this man isn't showing up like a committed man looking for a wife and you're like, I don't know where I stand. Oh, I'm confused. He didn't set up another date after. Do you like confusion isn't what we're looking for. So, yeah.
So that's just like being really clear around what you want as a woman and being able to decipher between the confused man or the non-committal man versus the man that does want that and the man that is committed and how they show up very differently. And it also just speaks to like as women, like really honoring the sacredness of how much devotion you can give and how much you can dive into a relationship and holding that as sacred and like withholding, right?
Yeah.
Until you clear, until you're clear. And I love that so much. Yeah, and what you mentioned a few moments ago around safety, can we talk about that?
Mhm.
Let's talk about that part of like the nervous system safety of being in a relationship and how it might be the right relationship and you still might not feel safe. And I
Okay.
feel like that, okay, yeah, let's just start there. Let's start
Yeah.
there.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was also just gonna ask you about the same narrative of if you're feeling butterflies on a date, that's a bad thing and that's a negative thing. And I'm curious how you feel and what's your viewpoint on that because I'm like I like still want the butterflies, but I'm also like still aware of like where like the trauma bond action activity is like being right. So let's just like clear both of those things up. I'm curious to hear.
Yeah, this again, it's nuance, and this is why my work is deeply connected to your body and your nervous system and God. Like this is, I call it the foundation of forever method because there's a few elements here. It's the foundation of God at your center. Like this is the most important thing. And then it's understanding the language of your body, of your nervous system, coupled with emotional elegance and understanding men and your feminine power. And all of these allow you to have good discernment. So when it comes to your nervous system, it's a little bit more complicated than, oh, my intuition is saying yes or no, because technically your intuition isn't truth unless you're regulated. So when we're connecting to our intuition and we're completely in a survival state in our bodies, it's not what's coming up isn't actually truth. And this is where it gets a little complicated if you don't understand the difference of your regulated state versus survival state. And there's four nervous system states, and only one of them is regulated. The other three are survival, and this is where most of us are living in. So when you're on a date with a man and you like it feels really good and you really like him, but then your body's like freaking out and you start to interpret that, well, he's probably not my man, then it's different, you know? It's so hard because this is where God comes in clutch and is very necessary because you need to listen like what is actually God sharing with you about this man, not just your body, and then afterwards being with your body and noticing the sensations, seeing what is there, what is coming up. Is it self-protection or is it truth? And again, you need to get into a regulated state to find that, and to get regulated, you be with the sensations and you accept them, you comfort them, you ask what they need, you create spaciousness to be still with the discomfort, and after that clears, the clarity comes. And through that, you start to understand, okay, is this man actually for me? And then with, like I was mentioning earlier, over a period of time, watching his actions, watching his words, watching his behavior, that lets you know, okay, this is more than just my nervous system trying to like tell me it's wrong. It's like actually this man's safe and my nervous system's freaking out because in safety, it's so complicated because when your nervous system actually feels really safe, everything can start to come up that hasn't been able to be
Right.
felt.
Yes.
So again, it's and there's different textures too because I was talking to my client the other day about this. She was saying, yeah, like when a man is really hot, I like get all weird and I start fumbling and I don't know what to do. And I was like, okay, I get it. Like I had that too with so many men and with the man that is meant for you, yes, there's going to be some nervousness, but there's also like a groundedness and a steadiness and a not like an overflow of anxiety. So the sensations are a little bit different.
Hmm.
And with let's say like my man, for instance, I felt a lot of energy, you know, and to me he's very sexy. Like I am so attracted to my man. And there was also this like steadiness and kind of peace and curiosity. And I think this is one of the things that also gets confused with women is they think that when you're in a healthy love, it has to be kind of boring and just like feel like complete peace and complete nothingness, but you get to feel the passion, you get to feel some chemistry, and also there's might be some dysregulation in your body, so it might come up as your body is having a lot. Like there was a one moment, the third night I met my man, my heart was, I thought it was going to explode from love. But
Oh,
it's the same as anxiety though. Like in my body, it felt the same as like I was going almost into a panic attack. And if I wasn't aware of the nuance, because it was very subtle, but I've been studying with like been present with my body for so long that I could feel that no, this wasn't a panic attack. It was there is so much love that my heart is going to explode. But I had to take myself out of the situation and go outside and ground myself and was like, whoa, this is a lot. And I'm being ripped open to like the kind of love I've always wanted my whole life, but it feels the same as like holding that much anxiety. So
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
and it's
it's
scary, right?
it's
It's like you're
stressful.
asking for that love and then it comes in and then you're like, "Oh my God, this is so much." And that's why being able to hold that sensation, especially sometimes learning how to hold the sensation without just categorizing it. Like being with the sensation without being like, "Oh my God, I have so much anxiety. I have so much anxiety. I'm afraid." And just being like, "Oh, I'm feeling a lot. I wonder, like, I'm curious about that." And like
Yes.
kind of letting it unravel and reveal to you as you can stay with it and with yourself instead of allowing that sensation to sabotage
Mhm.
your the love.
Yes, and this is what we do is we start to we pre-interpret it, right? Like you're saying, it's like, oh, like if I started to, I was like, this guy can't be for me. This is way too much. My body is telling me no. My body is telling me no. My fear spoke first
Yeah.
when it was misinterpreting the sensation. And then I was like, I have to leave. And I'm like, I'll be right back. I just need a breath. My stomach hurts, And he's like, okay. And he actually, it was so sweet. He like came and sat right next to me. And he looked at me in the hand. He's like, and he like kissed my hand. He's like, I'm here if you need anything. He just like grounded me. He could tell I was freaking out, but I wasn't ready to share with him. I'm like, it's day 3. I can't tell you my heart is exploding for you. Like, So he was like, okay, like I'm here. Like, don't worry. You don't need to freak out. And I was also leaving the country. So I think he could tell that I was already going into that mode too. Okay, here's the thing about women. Like we feel a lot at once. It's not just like I'm feeling love in this moment. I'm feeling love. I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling uh confused. Like I'm feeling all of this at once. And so the practice of somatic work is starting to untangle those emotions so they're not all there at once. Anyways, so I went outside and I was like, okay, this is either a clear sign that this man is not for me. My body's like, run, or it's something else. And I really feel like it's something else, even though the part of me wants to think it's fear, so I don't have to feel whatever this is.
Mhm.
And I sat with myself, and then it was like I just started shaking. I was literally out in public, like, I don't even care right now. I have to do this because I don't think I've ever felt a sensation that big in my life. And I felt like it was my heart again, so I could tell. And then in that, the clarity came through of like, no, like this is good. This is what you've been wanting your whole life. And that terrified me even more. I was like, I don't know. Am I ready for this? Is it time? I know I wanted this, but now that it's here, I don't know. And so it's just, it's a lot, but it's so fun to be with your body through it all.
And so important. Oh, thank you for sharing that. I love that so much for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so beautiful and so important. And yeah, I would love to shift into just some awarenesses for women, right? Of like, how can women become more aware of ways that they subtly um, disempower or emasculate men? Really important for us to
Yeah.
be aware of.
Yeah. And this is what a lot of my work is based around because I'm all about self-responsibility. That's like one of the pillars of my method because the more responsibility you become, the more responsible you become, the more you get devotional love and the more you get like really amazing men showing up in your life. And the quickest way to tell if you're doing something to your man is when he starts to pull away, when he starts to close, when you're dating and he's not really like the energy of excitement isn't there, that energy of like cherishing you and wanting to be with you all the time. If he doesn't want to like physically be with you or feels overwhelmed, it's that's a moment to check. Or if he starts to get defensive, like, that's a moment of reflection. So your man is always as your mirror. So he's reflecting to you. And I know anytime I cross the line, it's very obvious because my man is super lovey-dovey with me. Like that man just adores me. So when I am not receiving that from him, I like go rewind. What did I just do? Let me check on that. And then from there, now that I understand so many different parts about men, I'm like, oh, I just disrespected him in that moment. And so, something that we can do to disrespect them is when you ask them for their advice and their opinion, and then you don't take it, like in a moment that you're like wanting some support with something, to them that feels really disrespectful. Like, why would you even ask if you didn't want to take my opinion? Why don't you just do what you wanted to do? So that's like a subtle form of disrespect that's really confusing and was really confusing to me as well, because as women, we just have so many opinions and so many things. And but to them, like their opinions are like their values. And so when you don't respect that, it feels like an attack on them. The biggest form is that controlling. So this can come in so many different ways that we try to control them, but it's mostly through micromanaging, like when you are on his back, like telling him how to do things or he needs to do it a certain way or say it a certain way, or when he's driving and you're telling him like what the GPS is saying instead of just letting him drive. And again, if he misses a turn, you're gonna be okay. He's gonna get you there, you know? And so taking the hands off the wheel, and this is where he starts to feel like, oh, there's not that pressure on me. Like, we know what control feels like. It doesn't feel good. Nobody wants to be controlled. And so you have to notice the little ways that you're bringing that into him and even controlling by withholding your truth. You know, it's like he can feel that when you're not being honest. Like, men are, this is one of the most misunderstood things about men is they're so sensitive to your energy. My man can feel he can be actually even across the world. If I send him a text, he's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "How did you know?" Like, I'm not trying to share that with you, you know? But even when we're in the same room, it's like as soon as my mood shifts and we're not even looking at each other, he's like, "What's up, baby?" Like, "What's wrong?" And they're so sensitive to us, and they're so sensitive when we have a strategy behind our words or we're trying to get something specific, and he can sense that. So that doesn't feel good to him, and he's probably going to ask you too. And when you're not honest and when you say, "Oh, I'm fine," he's getting confused because he can sense that something is there and you're not expressing it.
And
So
he doesn't know how to help, right? It's like if you're not honest with him and you're not telling him the truth, then like he can't navigate that situation in a way that could potentially support.
exactly, and that's what he wants to do. He's a problem solver, so he wants to figure out your problems for you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing is the mothering. So it goes in with controlling, and we do it a lot in so many different ways. And you got to let your man be a man, because if you, I think women complain all the time, like he's like a child. It's like, no, you're treating him like a child. Like, let him be a man. You have to be with the discomfort of he was going to do it in his own time, in his own way, and it's not going to look like how you want it to look like. And you have to be okay with that. But again, that's a skill that takes a little bit of time to develop.
Yeah, and learning how to be with the discomfort in between those moments and like really it's like that's your own practice of surrender in those moments is like to let go of having it to be on your timeline or needing it to be that specific way and letting him go through his own messy human process and holding grace for that and not needing to mommy him through that. And I think that's something that is worth mentioning here too is like there is a difference between, right? There's like the mothering energy of how a mother will nurture and care for and attune to her child,
Yes.
which like in my experience the actions of mothering is quite like is masculine energy. It's like safety, providing, showing up for, attuning. And and when you do that to your man, like he's not going to respond to that and it's going to make the energy in the relationship quite repelling.
Yeah.
But then there's like a different way that you show up to your relationship and with your man that's nurturing and loving. That's a very different energy.
Yeah, and it's seeing him as like he's a capable man. There's a difference of when you're mothering, you don't see him as capable. When you're not mothering, when you're being the devotional wife, it's like, no, my man's got it, but I'm just going to provide some love and compassion here. So,
Hmm.
and you might say, oh, no, I don't like, it's a very different texture, because when you're stepping in and, oh, he's not doing it, oh, like he's not going to book the thing, or it's like you don't think he can do that versus he can do it, and you were sweet being. So, yeah.
Yeah. What are some what like how can women better offer feedback to men in a way that isn't intense?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is there's a desire under every complaint you have. Complaining will never work. It will never inspire him. And you want to inspire your man to take action. And that is through you need to get clear on what is it that you need. What do you need? When you have a complaint, pause, notice what is underneath that actual thing you're nagging about, and ask from that place and just say, I would love blank. And it is so simple. And when you just zoom out and when I just describe this, but that is the biggest difference. If you want something different from your man, don't tell him, you never do this, and I can't believe it, and I've asked you so many times, and you go into that, and you're not going to get anything, or he might do it, but it's not coming from a place of it's coming from a place of pressure and just not goodness. So when you tell him, oh, baby, I would really love if, let's say you want to go on a date, and it's like, instead of being like, you never take me on dates, like, how come, la, 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 and instead of just be like, I would love to go on a date this weekend.
Hmm.
Same information in a completely different way.
Different
And
delivery. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like a man who is in that masculine energy who wants to serve, right, and wants to give will receive something like that and be like, "Oh yeah, I want my woman to feel good." Like if she's like, "Oh, it would feel so good for me to did it receive this or I would love for this." He'd be like, "Oh my gosh, this is an opportunity for me to be of service and to like make my woman happy, which seeing her happy makes me happy."
it's so
Oh,
funny.
men are so cute. I love men.
They're so cute, and that's exactly it. Like, they want to succeed, so you need to let them know how to succeed. And
Yeah.
even if every other woman needed this, or they should just know, like, I hate that saying of he should just know, and I don't want to have to tell him, because if I tell him then he loves me less, that's not true. If you want to be loved and you want to be happy, let him know how. And that the thing is that it can change for us. We're very we are very fluid beings. So last month you might have wanted like cuddles all the time, and this month maybe you don't want cuddles, but you want walks. So like just keep letting him know what it is that you need. And in that, it's like you both are going to be so much happier.
Yeah. And giving him the space to see like if you have that request seeing how he shows up to meet that request or seeing if, right? And I feel like when we offer those invitations to men and perhaps like they just can't meet that or they keep falling flat or like for whatever reason, maybe it's their own stuff, that just gives us information around like if that's the man that we actually want to be with.
Yeah. Well, there's that's nuance as well. So if that's happening and you're asking him a lot, it's one, check yourself. Are you asking him what is the energy behind when you're asking him? Because
Mhm.
if you're, again, if there's a subtle manipulation under that or strategy under you asking that, he can sense it and he's not going to want to do it and he's going to pull away. Also, if you're completely depending on him for your happiness and if he doesn't do it, then you can't be happy. Again, it's like subtly men are energetically so in tune with us, whether they can name it or not, like they can sense this. And so when he feels that you're completely dependent on him, it's going to repel him. Like and it's going to make him not do things when he usually would do them. So that's when you need to prioritize yourself and your own happiness and yeah, check that as well. And then if he's not doing it, you have to come from the mindset, I have a great man who wants to make me happy. Why isn't he? What's going on here? Then you can have a conversation. Hey, baby, are you really stressed right now? Like, I know you said we were going to go on this date and it didn't happen. Like, I just want to understand. And when we can bring this perspective of heart to our man and this belief that we have a good man, because when you're not coming from that point of view, then yeah, you're ready to be like, see, your evidence is there. He can't provide for me. And instead, it's like, no, I have a really amazing man. So what's going on? Like, let me find out what's here after I've done all the things to see, like, have I cleaned up everything on my side of the street? Then
Mhm.
you can approach him and check, and maybe he's really stressed at work and he hasn't shared with you yet. And then it creates intimacy. Then it gets, you actually get to understand. And men are going to come to you with all their problems. Like they process emotions internally, and that's patriarchy. And yes, with the relationship and with the safety, he'll start to come to you, but that takes time often with most men. So he's going to process emotions internally, and so he might not share with you. So you might not know if he's having a really stressful week, and that's why he didn't do the thing that he said he would.
Thank you for naming all of those things. So important to take those things into consideration as well. And I know as we're like wrapping up here, I feel like a couple of things that I'd love for us to end on is how would you offer women to begin to reconstruct their relationship to the masculine in other ways? Obviously, having a relationship with God, but like something that I'm thinking of right now is like be so conscious of the things that you're consuming on social media. Like all the time I see like there's this really big trend right now on TikTok of like, what do you mean he drained the life out of you? And then like, these women posting these videos of like how drained they were in these relationships to men and just like being so aware of like what you're taking in around like the negative the negative energy around men
Mhm.
and like focusing on like what about other videos of like where did he pour the life into you, right? And so I'm curious if you have any other um tips for women redesigning their relationship to men and seeing them in a different way.
Well, first off, I'm so grateful for you that you want to, if you're a woman listening to this and you're actually desiring to be a radical woman in this world and create a love that lasts generations. Like you're literally the kind of woman I work with are women that want to change what love has been in their lineage. And that is such a brave title to take. And I'm so honored every time I meet a woman who wants to do this work because you're going to create the love that you've always wanted. And it's going to be hard because a lot of people are so in the male bashing world, and it's so much easier and so much comfortable to be a victim. So you saying that and wanting to change is just so inspiring, and I am so proud of you. And some things to do. One thing I do, and I have this program called Soft Girl Season, and one of the first things I have the woman do is look for evidence of how good men are. And I'm not talking about if you're dating or, yeah, you don't have to be in partnership. I'm like, when you're out in public, look how cute men are, and you will start to see how men are freaking adorable everywhere you turn. And I am just always in awe just watching what men do to make you feel comfortable, whether you're on the bus and he moves over so you have more space, or when you're at the grocery store and he grabs you something, or like there's they're always doing cute things. You'll just see how they provide. It was actually really cute. I was with my dad the other day and an alarm went off on his phone. I was like, what is that? He's like, oh, this is my 12 o'clock make sweetie lunch alarm for my stepmom. He's like, this is what I make her lunch at this time every day. And I was like, Dad, that is so freaking cute. And so, anyways, look for evidence of how men are good is a really great place to start. Your relationship with God is super important. That's where you can actually start to feel in your body what it's like to have that kind of steady, secure, healthy man in your life and lets your body start to trust men. The content you consume is really important. This is also why yeah, who you surround yourself with is essential because women often amplify that narrative, and you can't even bring relationship problems to most women because they're like, see, he's not good, and they start to shut down and they continue the narrative of men is the problem versus relationships have lots of moments of triggers. And so when you're always in those circles of women just complaining about men, it really is hard. It's really hard to succeed in that
Mhm.
to change your belief around them. Um, Something else to yeah is to just interact with men more, like even in public, and just trying to have conversations with them and try to see them from a new light and get them going about a topic they like and just watching how they actually like try to get to know their hearts because they're really, really sweet beings and there's so many good men in this world and the more you can start to interact with them and yeah, understand them, it's going to help you shift the relationship, obviously, with them. Reading books can be helpful too. The Surrendered Wife, even if you're not in a relationship, is an amazing book to help you really see men. And Alison Armstrong has a bunch of great books too. Um, yeah, I think those are like the main things, but it's mostly just noticing in yourself, like where's my resistance to respect a man? Where's my resistance to let a man lead? Where does it come up where I feel terrified to trust a man? And this is the thing too that I was just telling one of my one-to-ones yesterday of the reason she's in a partnership right now, and it's a new man. It's literally the love of her life. And he told her that he cheated in his last relationship. But he didn't just cheat because he's a cheater. He cheated because they were super unhappy and he could never speak up honestly and all these other things. So I reminded her, like, I know that's scary to hear that information. And the fact that he told you that shows you how much he's committed to you. And two, this is where you have to trust God because you have to know that if he is going to cheat on you, God will reveal whatever you need to know about this man, and you need to let your faith out over like you have to be more faithful than you are more fearful.
Mhm.
And it's a skill again, but yeah, like you really have to let your prayer be stronger than your worry. And so developing that practice and letting God, like, so something I do with all my clients too is a prayer practice of God, show me what it's like to be your bride. God, show me what it's like to be courted in the last season of singleness. And when you start to speak these prayers out loud, you'll see how God wants to spoil you, how he takes care of you. And it might come up through men buying you a coffee when you're out or it'll come in little ways, but you get to play with that dynamic when you say these powerful and delightful prayers.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Oh my goodness. Thank you. This was such a beautiful, powerful conversation. And I hope that this podcast blesses the ears of so many women who are ready to receive it. And yeah, men are amazing. We need men. Men are so important for the health of our world, the health of our society. And men love love too. And they love to be loved and they love to give love.
Yes, there's so many lover boys out there. It's insane. Like, it's so cute. So
It's so
keep the
sweet.
faith.
Where can people find you, Lexy?
Well, thank you again. I love this conversation. It was so good, so flowy, and just so much magic came through. So I really hope that you guys took away things with it. Please let us know. I'd love to hear any questions or feedback you had about it. You can find me at Alive to Enjoy on Instagram. And Yeah, and I also do one-to-one work, which I love. I have a program called Forever Chosen, and this is all about creating a love legacy and a love that your great-grandkids will be bragging about. So that's the kind of love I help people with. And yeah, reach out to me if you ever have any questions or want to shift your relationship with men.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lexi. And we'll see you for the next episode on the Radical Woman podcast.